Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the Woodsman Wack-Off, the series that puts two woodsmen face to face to see which competitor can whack off their log the fastest. For this first episode of Season 2, we're going full controversy. Hogged out lowers versus a basic portwork. That's right, on the left side of your screen, Binford is running Hellboy, the Shindauer 757 built by Hot Rod as an experiment. The case was hogged out and port matched to the opened up lower transfers on the cylinder. This operation was time consuming and was done in an effort to reduce any obstacles that could possibly block smooth and unrestricted flow. Shortly after this build, Hot Rod became convinced that the saw would run better with just a basic port job. So, as luck would have it, Hot Rod received a customer saw and would be able to act out his theories. The 757 that Hot Rod is running is just a basic port job, with no flow porting to speak of. Both saws are running similar numbers, and the only big difference is that Binford's has been hogged out in the lower transfers and the case has been trenched and matched. As already mentioned, our operators of the day are Binford. This man right here has never been caught between a rock and a hard place. He would just flex and bust right out. And Hot Rod, a man of poor grammatical skills, but can turn a wrench with the best of them. He's the swingingest socket slinger in all of South Fulton. Now let's get it on. Alright, look at Hot Rod showing off for the camera and old Binford slicking the hair back, even though it's kind of pushed forward nowadays. Here we go, they're firing them up, warming them up, revving them up, getting ready to munch down on some red oak. Those are 24-inch longer bar and chain, full chisel, full comp. Here they go, both saws are speeding along. Look at the chips fly. It's slow going though, because this is some heavy duty big red oak. The gentle glide down the shaft, it looks to be favoring Hot Rod as he has the basic port job, and at this point it's abundantly clear that that saw is considerably faster than Binford's. Wow, who saw that coming? All that work of Binford's. Let's see if torque is any different here. They're both dogging them in, chewing up that red oak. We got the vice grip as they force the saws as hard as they can through the wood, but still trying to keep them in their sweet spot. These operators are not trying to actually dog out and bog down their saws, but it's getting close, and here we go. We see Hot Rod wins it again. Woo! Clearly he's feeling good about himself because both these saws were built by him. He thought he could do better, and he did. A basic port job in this here scenario worked out to bring more power and higher RPMs. So let's get to Bodie and see what he says about it. Okay, so there we go. Not what I think a lot of people, especially the old school ways of doing things, at least from my minimal knowledge of the way some people tend to port. Okay, so both of those saws were ported by Hot Rod, which is me, right? I did the one that Binford was running first. I call it Hellboy. All right, so does Darren. Darren, you call it Hellboy. I think you may have actually dubbed it that. I did it. I mean, I was very happy with it when I first ran it. If you look at the video of me first running that saw, I was extremely impressed with it and very happy. But I did say in that video, I said, I don't know, maybe it's because I've got a 20-inch bar on it. But, you know, this thing runs great. And I've never really ran a saw typical, you know, running it, just cutting and bucking up wood of this size. You know, it's a 73.5 cc, I think is what it is. I never ran one that big with just a 20-inch bar. And so I was at least smart enough to understand that my brain may have been fogged up a little bit because of the small bar for that saw. then as I ran it more and more, well, I never exactly told y'all about it, but I was sensing that, it really wasn't that powerful. And so I was like, you know what? I bet you opening up those lower transfers and the trenching the cases like that, I bet you I screwed myself. And I did. Because the other one is, they both feel good. They do. They both feel really nice. But I think that on the first cut there, the other one beat it by like 3.5 seconds or something. That's a lot. That's considerable. That's something that you should take into consideration, and over the past, I think it's been close to 2 years that I've started dabbling into these chainsaws and then going right at it and everything. I've learned a lot, and I've developed my own style. And what I tend to err to is minimalist. And I think that a massive amount of people do more work than they should be doing. And I say should be doing because of specifically, I don't want to say more than they need to. How do I put this in words? I think that most porters are placating their customers, and I'm on their side. I'm with them. I understand why they do that. It's not me talking bad about them. Not at all. And you know what? If we have different opinions, yeah, it's fine. It's just different opinions. It's okay. You might be a porter, and you're like, I've been doing this for 30 years, and I polished that exhaust to a mirror. Okay, great. It works for you. Good. I'm here. My opinion is that that's overkill. But I think that the reason why it's done is to placate customers that want to see something like that. They want to go, ooh, yeah, look at that. Ooh, something big has happened here. Yes, that's what I think. But not important. But along those same lines, I feel like a lot of people, whenever they're porting a chainsaw, and you see this early on with people a lot, is they go in there and they take out a lot of material. And I have learned that most of the time, whenever you're doing that, you're shooting yourself in the foot, right? You're doing all this work and actually killing power. You're killing velocity of your mixture, and you're creating a cushion there so that not only your velocity is killed, but whenever that piston starts coming back down, and it's to be driving the mixture up into the transfers, they're not responding like they should be because you've got this big cloud. And whenever you come back down, that big cloud absorbs some of the energy that would normally be shoving your mixture up the transfers and out into the combustion chamber and into the cylinder. You see what I'm saying? So not only are you killing velocity, you're also creating this big cloud cushion because it's lower pressure than atmospheric pressure. That's why it enters, right? That piston goes up and it creates a pressure drop, and all of the atmospheric pressure flows into there. And so atmospheric pressure is 14.7 psi. And so all of that stuff, then you create this area, this volume that instead of being at 14.7 psi, you might be at 12 psi. And that's absolute pressure. That's not, you won't see that on a gauge. You won't see it on a gauge. So the more of that you have, then the longer it's going to take for that stuff to start moving, because as that piston drops down, you need to turn that into a pressure that's higher than any pressure above the piston. So it's like pushing through a pillow to touch the floor versus pushing through a flat exercise mat to touch the floor. There's less volume that is taking up space in that cushion, that exercise cushion, versus a pillow, right? So when that piston comes down, if you have a large expanded combustion chamber or a crankcase area, right, then it's got to really push through that pillow in order to compress it slightly so that you can get it to move up the transfers and into the cylinder. Whereas if you have the smaller crankcase volume, you have less of a pillow. And since you have less of a pillow, it responds much more quickly to both the piston going up and creating a pressure drop, allowing air to flow through the carburetor and into the crankcase. And whenever it comes down, it pressurizes the stuff that's in the crankcase much more quickly so that it goes up and into it. And so I knew this going in to before I ported my very first Shindaiwa Hellboy. I knew this. But, running a YouTube channel, of course, there'll be a million people I hope there's a million people that watch this video. That's money. But there'll be a lot of people that watch this video and they may or may not say anything. But of course they'll be thinking, yep, I knew that all along. I knew it all along. Well, you may have known it all along, but more importantly, you theorized about it all along. And that's what most of us do. There's nothing wrong with that. Most of us theorize about something, and I wanted to prove it. My theory was that cutting a whole bunch of mess out of the crankcase and the lowers is counterintuitive. And so I did it, and it worked good. It did. It worked good. It still runs good. However, that's why I called it, the video of me porting that first one. It's experimental port job. I named it that a long time ago. So I knew what I was doing, right? I did an experimental port job. And I had a very strong feeling that I would be actually taking power away from the saw in doing that. And so, whereas most people will theorize, oh, you can't do that because of this. And I understand that. That's what most of us do. Well, I ain't afraid to F something up, I'll go ahead and do that. So now let's talk about this. Since clearly we know that the Shindaiwa that had hogged out on the bottom end is not as fast. It's not as responsive. It's not as torquey. And it is not as fast as the very basic port job that I did. All I did was cut the base on that thing and line up the ports. Actually, I don't think I had to do anything to the ports really at all. They just fell where they fell. But my point is it's an extremely basic job. I didn't go in there and enlarge any of the ports. I just maybe rounded off a couple edges here and there. And it's extremely basic. And it's considerably more powerful than the one that I spent all that time on. So now what you got to look at is that saw already got sent back to its owner in California. James, I hope you're happy with it. What am I going to do with Hellboy now? Well, I will probably do it next time I sell a chainsaw. I'm not doing it right now. But, yeah, I'm going to buy a new cylinder for that thing. I'm going to buy a new cylinder, do a similar port job to what I did with the other one. I'll probably actually go a little bit further with the compression and cut the combustion chamber and do some funky stuff, and just redo it. The cases, I'll fill them up with pig epoxy. I'll fill in all of that space that I worked so hard to cut out, because clearly it does not make things better, faster, or anything. At least on this saw. There might be some saws out there that you could find improvements on, but I don't want to get like, there's a lot of stuff. Like if you took this Shindawa that I hogged out, and you also then went ahead and hogged out the intake and put a big honking carb on there, and we're running methanol, then yeah, you're probably golden. But as it is with the factory carburetor, factory intake boot and stuff, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because you're going from a small hole into a big voluminous cavern. It's bad. So 99% of the time, anything that anyone is building, whenever they add volume, finger ports and everything, you may not lose power, but I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth the gain. But this is coming from somebody that has never done finger ports, and so I don't know. But take that exact same build and do everything the same as you always did it with the other one, except for don't put the finger ports in, and see which one's faster. You know, like Josh, I know you said you had finger ports in your 55. Dude, man, build another cylinder, but do the same thing, but don't do finger ports. See if it was worth it, you know? My money's on it's not worth it, you know? It's like, you'll probably be faster without those finger ports. But then again, you know, I have to admit my inexperience. So, anyways, I hope that you like this video, and look forward to many more coming in the future. I'm going to start pushing these things out. I think that I'll do 2 or 3 of them a week. That's what I think, because, I don't know, having them once a week, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And they're hard to make. It's a lot of effort to actually put into making these videos. It's not like I just recorded it on my phone and hit upload. It's a lot of effort. But anyways, if you like the video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Talk to you later.